bigger goals. And I'm pretty sure he means the Super Bowl down in Miami. But for now, let's head down there to Saints training camp, welcoming in Amber Theoharis alongside Derek Carr, Michael Silver in the building down in Metairie. What's the vibe like now that Camp Guard Mike is back at Saints camp?
Well, Michael Silver just did a first K. He actually waved at the camera when you tossed to him. I think that shows the energy that is here at camp, because everybody is excited that Michael Thomas is back in camp. 5 years, $100 million, $61 million guaranteed. He is Drew Brees' safety blanket, and you had a chance to talk to Sean Payton. How happy is he to have his number one back?
Definitely happy to have him back, and he's oddly happy for a man who, in the previous 2 seasons, has suffered crushing playoff defeats on a miracle in Minneapolis and one of the worst calls ever here.
No calls.
You know, and that's pretty crushing because they were good enough, I believe, to win it either of those years or potentially both. And he's not sitting around moping. He's oddly happy. He loves the mental toughness of this team, the way that this team last year fought off the disappointment of the previous season and had such a great year. Thinks they can do it again. And David, he said, you know, we're a young team. People don't think about it because Drew is 40. Cam Jordan's a little older, but they have a lot of youth on this roster.
Well, I think it's fantastic because you still have Drew Brees, so you have a chance. Getting Michael Thomas in. You have an infusion of young talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but you still have the veteran presence to kind of bring those guys along, to implement your system, to show them what has really gotten them in position to be in the Super Bowl. Really, they should have been the last couple of years. So they'll find a way to get back in the mix again. Michael Thomas coming back, Jared Cook. I mean, there's so many fun pieces that they've added for Sean Payton to play with. For me, one of the premier play callers in this league. So he's just going to recycle new talent and get it going again.
But, David, they have a very small window. You have a 40-year-old quarterback, and we all know when Drew Brees goes, it is a whole different Saints team.
No doubt.
And so it's win now. We know that. It's pretty much the same team from last year with some additions, but they do have guys like Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk, their tackle. They have those guys still on rookie contracts. They just paid Michael Thomas, so they have this nice mix right now where they have these guys together. Is it a small window?
Well, it is a small window. I think that's what kind of Mike was alluding to, but you have Drew Brees, so Sean feels like he has the guy, right?
Yeah.
And you do have to kind of strike while the iron's hot. I mean, you don't have forever. The guy's not going to play till he's 50, although he kind of feels he probably could.
Although I got to tell you, I talked to him yesterday, and he's not thinking that it's going to stop anytime soon.
I can imagine.
He said something interesting. He said, you know, I've played all these other sports my entire life, baseball, basketball, ping pong, tennis, and he said, I draw from all of them. And he said, I feel like I have a bunch of stuff in the bank from my skill set from all those sports that I can draw on at any time. So in his mind...
He actually brought up that he played ping pong, and he can draw from that to help him as a quarterback.
I could get more specific later in the day, but he believes that because of all this, you know, that he has in the bank, that he has this unlimited supply.
That's the interesting part, right? Like, so if you can stick around long enough to where your body still feels good, then that's kind of like the Tom Brady effect. I mean, these guys, mentally, there's nothing that they haven't seen. There's nothing that they're going to do. Dennis Allen's not going to show them any defense out here that he hasn't already seen hundreds of times. It's not going to surprise him. So his ability level is, it's not going to diminish.
You're a young guy. Are you thinking about, you know?
Well, at this point, everyone's playing until they're 45 years old.
Same age as Drew.
Get out there.
Trying to raise a family. I guess that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
It's a lot different when you've been out of the game for a little bit and you come back. Hey, we're getting ready to watch the walkthrough. It happens at 8:50 Central here, and then practice kicks off at 9:20, and we'll be live throughout the day on Inside Training Camp Live. A lot of questions around this team. How are they going to do without Mark Ingram? How is the defensive line going to look? Sheldon Rankins is coming back from an injury, so we will address all of that coming up on Inside Training Camp Live. We'll see you guys around 9 o'clock Central Time, okay?
I'm waving.
And Amber, you'll be joined by all of those stars, of course, Sean Payton and Cam Jordan. I've got one quick question. Michael, you've been everywhere. How are you keeping these shirts clean? Are you do like a limitless supply? Like, what's the deal? What's the secret?
They're not clean. That's why I have David sitting next to him.
Buffer. It's a buffer.
I'm just glad that we're not all matching.
Yeah. He actually texted us both last night to ask us what color polo we were wearing.
That's what I was trying to get out of him, but he's,
Yeah. I thought I was in
Amber,
7th grade again.
Love
where
you,
you try to match your friends.
I should be in the middle.
For playing along.
No.
Cam Jordan, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, all joining those three. on Inside Training Camp Live at 10 a.m. Eastern, right after Good Morning Football. I was told Michael Silver goes to laundromats in places like Green Bay.
He does.
He was spotted at a laundromat washing those polos.
I was in Green Bay with him, yeah. He did go.
Is there Berea Fluffin' Full and Mike Silver is there? Probably has a headshot over the counter, too.
Well, signed. Nice little window into ITC Live. Let's talk about the Super Bowl window for these Saints. Kyle, what do you think about what they were talking about with Drew Brees being 40, but them having a young core?
Yeah, there's the hashtag narrative about the Saints that they got one step and they got another step and now they'll take the final step. I honestly feel that concerns me. It's kind of a myth. I feel like that is more of an NBA narrative to get one step at a time where the injuries don't come creeping in and the money works differently. I feel like you only get so many shots here. I worry about that because how many times can you be there and be healthy and have the quarterback and we just go one step shorter? So I'm trying to think of a team in recent history that's had a more win now than the New Orleans Saints. I'm stumped. I can't think of one.
And Amber mentioned it, and she's very good on this, that Ryan Ramczyk is going to be in the final year of his contract soon. Marshawn Lattimore. 2 years ago, they had this great rookie class. Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore,
rookies of the year.
Marcus Williams, Ryan Ramczyk. They're all rookies. Well, guess what? They eventually become veterans, and they eventually want to get paid.
Yep.
This is the year. Sorry if you want to hear it or not. Like, this is the year. And Kyle, to your point, you lose the Minneapolis Miracle, heartbreaking. You bounce back. You lose on the Nicole Roby-Coleman play, heartbreaking. How do you get back and over the hump a third time? That's the challenge.
Yeah, it is the challenge. And to me, success has to happen if you keep Drew Brees healthy, right? Which he's done a great job throughout his career staying healthy. But when Max Unger retires, one of the top centers in our league, they have now a rookie. And Max Unger was great, not just in the passing game, but he was also great in the run game, getting to the second level. This run game may be affected if center Eric McCoy that they drafted out of Texas A&M can't get the certain reach blocks, can't understand in the pocket when Drew Brees is there which guard to help. Max Unger was great at that. So I do see this team possibly having a little bit of anxiety this year, having to win now because they have a lot of the pieces, but the pieces have to come together.
They do have Drew Brees under contract all of next year as well. And there's something to be said, Michael, about bringing their backup back, having Teddy Bridgewater there to come along with this young core. I feel like that might come to play at some point.
I think it will come to play. And Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, and all those guys, they're looking toward the future. I mean, whenever Drew decides to call this thing quits, they have Teddy Bridgewater sitting right there waiting. And if I'm them, I'll keep him in the fold as long as possible because they can still manage to get to the playoffs and get the championship.
You brought him along on this whole ride, Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was the guy who took a team to the playoffs a couple of years ago on his arm. I'm interested in the division, though, because the Falcons are surging, the Panthers are surging, and, of course, the Buccaneers are surging for yet another year. So we'll see if they can keep it going in the NFC South.
Quickly, you know what I'm fascinated about this team? The first time they challenged a pass interference. I really am, because we saw it last night. Worked out okay. Seemed to be a pretty clear-cut call. But week one, who knows, Series 1, the first time Sean Payton challenges that, all the eyes are watching. That's what I can't wait for.
You'll have popcorn for that one, I imagine?
All day. Or beignets.
Beignets. Get your popcorn ready. Sit back and get ready to hear the master of spoken word. That is right. Freddie Kitchens coming your way on Inside Trading Camp. Michael Silver's texting me that he had bad audio. Don't make excuses, Michael Silver. Be a gamer. And Todd Gurley making some interesting comments about his backup. We're bringing you all of that on ITC Live and on GR.